Hi there, I'm Jen, this is Remembered Reads, and this is going to be the genre book tag. I was tagged by Asia and Kristen from Plots with a Twist. They just hit 100 subscribers, and if you're not one of those 100, you should check them out. I will link to them below. And this tag was created by Harriet Rosie, and I will link to her original tag below as well. The genre book tag asks a bunch of questions about your favorite and least favorite genres, and in her original video mentions that she encourages people to use whichever definition of genres that you prefer, and I will not be using the same definition that she used. She gave her favorite genre as nonfiction, which I consider to be a category. Fiction and nonfiction to me are categories within which you have genres. I saw Andrea from Infinite Text did this, and one of her negative answers was comic books, and that to me is clearly a medium. This is science fiction. This is memoir. They're not even the same category. So, yeah. So even though I read mostly nonfiction, and even though I read a huge number of comics, I'm not going to mention either of those things because I don't consider them to be genres. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get to the questions. Question number one is, what is your favorite genre? My very narrowly specific favorite genre within fiction is historiographic metafiction, which is sort of metafiction, historical fiction mashed together. There's lots of intertextuality, generally lots of jumping around in time. So things like Timothy Findlay's The Wars, where you have mostly a First World War story, but there's a bit of back and forth, and there's this extra element of somebody's doing research in the future or the present day when the book was written, something like that. Things like Michael Ondaatje's The English Patient or In the Skin of the Lion, and not exclusively things that get classed as literary fiction, which incidentally I also don't consider to be a genre. I consider that to be a style label, but whatever. For example, in the science fiction section you'll find Neil Stephenson's Baroque Cycle, and that's clearly historiographic metafiction as well. And over nonfiction, I feel like the genre that hits, that is so broad that it could be anything, is memoir. But specifically science and military memoirs, because I think they cross over between the history category, the political category, and then the nature or science writing category on the other hand. So yeah, so I would call those my favorites. Question number two is, what is your least favorite genre? And I would say my least favorite genre are any of the really fetishy subgenres within romance. There are romances that you see where a lot of them have billionaire in the title, but they're like a weird fetishy thing about rich Italians. There are ones that just explicitly have Greek in the title and it's about rich Greeks. There's ones that have sheikh or chic, depending on your accent, in the title, that where it's like a rich pseudo-Emirati guy in kind of a pseudo Abu Dhabi kind of setting that are very, it's like, I don't know, if you're writing a paper on Orientalism, you could plop in one of those books. I find all of that to be pretty creepy. So those are my least favorite. Number three is, what is your genre that you'd like to try? I feel like I read a bit of everything, so I don't know that I've missed anything that I'm interested in. I would say if you think there's something I should be reading that's a specific genre, I would love to know what that is, because I feel like I read broadly enough that I'm not really missing anything. But maybe I don't know what I don't know, so. Number four is a genre you don't want to try, and I would say that that's my same answer to number two, the really fetishy romance stuff, yeah. Because, as I said, that makes me really uncomfortable. Question number five is a genre that you're not sure about. And a genre that I'm not sure about but that I read all the time are a lot of the military hybrid genres in fiction. So that can be military science fiction, military fantasy, military historical fiction, in which some authors explicitly are putting in political messages on various stances. And I think that's fine as long as it's explicit and you know what you're getting into with some of that. But unfortunately, I think there are a lot of authors who don't think it through, and I find that this is especially true in speculative fiction because I think they think, well, this is not the real world, so it doesn't matter. But there's often a lot of unintentional metaphor going on that has a lot of messaging that is a bit gross, and I wish there was more awareness of that, because I feel like there's just slightly more thought that they could put into it, and they would be saying something a little more nuanced, because it's not necessarily even the message or the fact that there's a message that bothers me, it's that it feels inadvertent, and with slightly more thought they would have been actually intending to say something, and I would much rather see that. Even if I disagree with the message, at least they're trying to say it. So that I'm kind of iffy about, even though I read stuff like that all the time. So, question number 6 is a genre blend that you love. And I think I just named that. I do really enjoy military and war settings, which is, I mean, I'm not quite a pacifist, but I'm pretty close, so it's a bit odd that that's something that I enjoy reading so much. But yes, whether I'm reading something that's very literary or very generic genre fiction, I do like all of those hybrids, like I just named. Question number 7 is to name a genre-defying book. And I guess since I mentioned Neil Stephenson's Baroque cycle, I will mention my favorite book from him, which is Cryptonomicon, which is also kind of historiographic metafiction, but it's, you could say, is this a thriller? Is this a political book? Is this speculative fiction? Is this historical fiction? What is this? And it's sort of all of those things. I think because people find it in the science fiction section, they go in with certain expectations, and it's just, there's so much more to it than that. I don't think it's a perfect book. There's a part in the middle where there's like an 11-page email, and nobody needed to read that, but it's a really long book that probably is longer than it needed to be, but it's just great fun and has just elements of everything. There's code breaking, there's Second World War stuff, there's modern stuff, there's political elements that have clearly been thought out in terms of both historical and modern issues. It's just a very entertaining romp that's, you know, has had some thought put into it, which I appreciate. Okay, so that was the genre book tag. Thanks again to Plots with a Twist for tagging me, and congratulations on hitting 100 subscribers. Who should I be tagging? Let's see, I just commented on the newbie channel of Jenny, and I don't remember her last name. I will link to her newbie tag below, because why not tag a new person in this tag? And as always, if you are watching this and you would like to do this tag, please consider yourself tagged. That's it for now. Ciao.